let's understand how a child's body is different to that of an adult. So if we look at the respiratory rate of a child, it's way higher. The minute volume is more. What that means is that there is, with the same level of exposure to the same pollutant, when you compare an adult with a child, the exposure is much more, because relative to their size, children take in more air. The other important difference is that if we look at the size of their airways, relative to their size, it's narrow. So because the caliber of the airway is narrow, the secretions that get produced because of the exposure to the pollutant causes more narrowing in terms of the airflow, which then results in more symptoms. And that is why children who do not have any history of any respiratory problems, also who are suffering from a common viral infection, when exposed to pollution, get more symptoms. And of course, for children who have a history of airway disease, and in terms of they have reactive airway disease, which is asthma or bronchitis or different kinds of allergy, their symptoms are more pronounced, and also the duration of the illness is prolonged. Now, that is as far as the respiratory system goes. Then, of course, we have similar issues with children who have nasal allergy. Exposure to pollutants make their symptoms worse. When we look at eye irritation, that's a significant problem. In terms of what does it do to the developing brain, there is a correlation between prolonged exposure to pollutants and cognitive development. There's also a correlation between prematurity and pollution. But what, of course, is a matter of concern to all of us is that we really don't know what the long-term impact of 10 or 20 years down the road will be of this pollution level, because this is unprecedented. Year on year, our children getting exposed to very high levels of pollutants. As pediatricians, we look after newborns, and we also quite often interact with mothers who are expecting their second baby. And of course, sometimes we do consults with ladies who are expecting their first baby and have a lot of questions that they want a pediatrician to answer. And these questions coming up over and over again. So what can we do with newborns? Well, newborns really remain at home. But of course, one would want them to go out for a little stroll in the evening, where it's good for the mother, it's good for the baby, but then that is not something that is desirable in the environment we live in today. As far as expectant mothers are concerned, we always encourage mothers to go in for a walk, exercise, because it's good for the baby that is growing within them. But again, that's something that we cannot recommend or encourage. So they really have to walk within their home. That's not ideal, but then that's really the best recommendation. In terms of minimizing exposure, so I guess they really do have to be indoors when the AQI is high, to minimize exposure of the pollutants to the fetus. When it comes to do's and don'ts, for parents, for their children, for young moms with small babies, expectant mothers, the first thing is really awareness about the environment that you live in. And when we say Delhi, the AQI varies from part to part of Delhi, region to region. So download the app that actually gives you an accurate AQI. Please ask yourself this question: do I really need to be out if the AQI is very high, or can I wait? When it comes to going for a walk or any sort of exercise, you obviously have to choose the time of day when the AQI is not so bad. And that means mornings and late evenings are off. And that's really the time when most people exercise. Masking is important. And well, one thing that COVID taught us was that masks became a normal way of life. So it's important to mask up, and you need a proper fitting mask, an N95 mask. Children also are used to wearing masks, so at least that's one positive thing in terms of behavioral change. So it's not hard to convince kids, which it used to be a few years ago. There are certain plants, the spider plant, Chinese evergreens, the snake plant. Some of these plants are supposed to be helpful. So that's something that you might want to consider bringing into your home. And of course, for those who have the resources, can look at having air purifiers. As parents and as pediatricians, we feel very strongly about the fact that we have to protect our future generation. They don't have a voice. We are their voice. And so therefore, we must do whatever it is in our power to be able to get a handle on pollution.